Welcome back to another UNC football recruiting podcast here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. And if you're checking us out on our YouTube channel, Tar Heel Illustrated, I am THI publisher Andrew Jones. And joining me, as she very often does, our director of football recruiting, Miss Deana King. And Deana, you were in Rock Hill, South Carolina over the weekend checking out the Blazing 7-on-7 tournament. There were 5 UNC class of 2021 commits in action. We spent a lot of time focusing on 4 of the kids, and we're going to talk about those guys right now, beginning with quarterback Drake Maye, a 4-star kid out of the Charlotte area. He is the younger brother of Luke Maye of Carolina basketball fame and the son of Mark Maye, who was a star quarterback for the Tar Heels in the 80s. You have been gushing about Drake Maye for a few years. You followed his growth and progression over the course of the last few years. And some of the stuff you were telling me just in text messages Saturday and Sunday were pretty much off the charts praise for this kid. So what were your thoughts of Drake Maye over the weekend?
Well, first of all, the Blazing 7-on-7 was a great appropriate name since it was blazing hot in Rock Hill. And Drake Maye was blazing hot, leading his Carolina Silver Stars to that championship. Drake, he showed me a lot of things, maybe not necessarily on the field, but kind of off the field. And when he was out there playing, his ratio last year at Myers Park was 50 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and I can see why, because he can see the field. He don't rush throws. He goes through his progressions, and so very accurate, got great technique. And like you said on some of my text messages, I told you how much I liked his leadership ability. He's going to be the alpha for Mac Brown's Tar Heels. Being a quarterback, you kind of have to be that little alpha leader. And when he wasn't out there taking all the snaps, because he didn't take all the snaps, A.J. Simpkins, who plays on that team, he took a lot of snap too. But Drake, he was out there snapping the balls to Simpkins when he wasn't taking the snaps. And then when the defense was out there, he was around his buddies, talking, laughing, being that leader. And Kevin Roy was down there, our videographer. He was down there, and I just told him, I was like, Kevin, Drake just looks the part of being that All-American, that sunshine quarterback from the Titans, I believe. So he makes me think a lot of him.
Yes, remember the Titans, T.C. Williams High School in Alexandria, an old rival of mine back in my high school days. One of the things you also said about Drake was that the guys want to be around him. Quarterbacks don't always have to have Marquise Williams' personality, and he had an amazing personality that carried onto the field, and he was such a great leader. He could back up that personality. A lot of quarterbacks, a little bit more stoic, a little bit more laid back as far as the personality goes, but there's something infectious and connective about them on the field. You said that Drake has all those qualities, that the dudes that were out there playing with him wanted to be around him. He was easy to gravitate to.
Well, if you're a wide receiver or tight end and even a running back, I don't know why you would not want to play with a quarterback like Drake Maye. He's just like he makes everybody better. He made some great throws. He had a heck of a receiving corps there, and we'll talk about some of them later in this podcast. But I think and I asked him in the interview about, when he switched to Alabama, it seemed like Carolina was doing good, but then when they picked him up, it just kind of like an avalanche of top players wanting to join him, because he, the quarterback is usually the focal point, and when you got a good quarterback, a high-profile quarterback, everybody wants to play with you.
And when you asked him that question, he didn't pound his chest and say, yeah, everybody wants to play with me. But the look on his face, a little bit of a smile, he acknowledges that. He understands that. And he knows that his role – we've talked a lot about about Javari Ritzy recently, about Ra being a recruiter, Keyshawn Silver being a recruiter for this class. But Drake Maye is every bit as important, if not more important, as guys because of the quarterback factor. But again, the kids listen to him. He's one of those dudes that if you go to a party, you want to know what room that guy's in and go hang out in that room because that might be the best room in the house that night. And clearly Drake has that.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, Gavin Blackwell, 4-star receiver who's also in the class. He was there as well. I know you've been a big fan of his for a couple of years. So what did you see from him this weekend?
Well, first of all, I've noticed Gavin has really, when I saw him play with Sam, he was a sophomore. He has put on some muscle. He's toned up. He looks great. He ran great routes, caught the ball well. And, one thing I like about Gavin, he got a little, I call it spunk with him. He likes to, let people know he's there. And he did, if you saw some of the highlights, he gave a little bow, beating his guy on the deep ball. But, Drake and him hooked up a lot during this 7-on-7. And, he's used to catching from a big-time baller in Sam Howell. So it's just nice seeing that possible connection, early preview at that 7-on-7.
One of the things you did talk a lot about Drake over the weekend, but another thing that you said about Gavin was just that he kind of looks he looks more college ready than you had seen before. Kind of elaborate on that some.
Yeah, he, he's toned his body up. I really think he's gotten a little faster. And so, and he works out, Sam probably came home and over the break and probably worked out with him. And he, every one of them tells me that all the coaches, Coach Galloway, he's really been on the wide receivers, telling them tips, what they can work on, how they can improve their route running. So, Gavin, he makes me think a little bit of a Daz Newsome. He's not afraid to go underneath. He caught several passes underneath this weekend.
Staying at wide receiver, J.J. Jones, 3-star kid, just committed about a month ago to the Tar Heels. He specifically told you about some of the things that Lonnie Galloway has. He talks about every other day. Some of the things that he's telling him needs to work on and that kind of thing. I know that Saturday J.J. didn't play a ton. There may have been like a slight little injury and they held him out of some stuff. But what did you see from him this weekend that you liked a lot? That might be signs of ongoing improvement.
Well, first of all, when you see JJ, you look at his height. He's that tall receiver that UNC, they might not have had since, Bo Corrales is tall, like a Quinn Shad, but much more faster than Quinn Shad, because we raved before when JJ committed about his speed. He's got great speed. I watched his route running because I wish I'd have got to see him catch the ball more, but the team that he played on, for whatever reason, their guys didn't target him much. And so I spent a lot of time watching his route running, and he ran good, crisp routes. And like you said, he did, I think it might have been like a little hamstring, and he was kind of afraid to play the rest of the day on Saturday. But he came back and played pretty much the whole time Sunday. But like I said, he didn't get targeted much, but he did have a couple touchdowns. They only had a couple games, but he did get a couple touchdowns. And I like talking to JJ. He's really high on his position group. Thinks that him and Gavin and Kobe Paysor complement each other, because that's something that he really elaborated on.
When you invoke the names Bo Corrales and Quinn Davis, people will remember Quinn Shad's famous catch in Blacksburg that secured an ACC Coastal Division title back in 2015, and the kind of catch it was. And then last year, Bo Corrales would occasionally drop that easy pass over the middle. But if it was something in the corner of the end zone and he had to fight off a DB, he was catching that thing. Do you envision J.J. Jones being the kind of guy down the road that hauls those things in the corner of the end zone? He gets the fades on a 3rd and 4 from the 5, that kind of play?
Yeah, I think he will. They one of the passes they did try down there was a fade to the corner, and the defensive back made a heck of a play, or that would have been a touchdown. It was kind of underthrown too, but JJ 6'4", he's got good range, good hands. So I expect JJ to fill that role for the Tar Heels when he's ready.
Now, Ra Dilworth was also there competing, but we didn't really focus much on him this weekend. The last guy that we did spend a lot of time watching, we've got some video. In fact, Monday we ran an ISO video of him. Sunday we ran an ISO video of Drake Maye, and we do have one coming up of Gavin Blackwell as well. But Dontavius Nash was there, a lot of time on the defensive side of the ball. The thing that jumped out about me about Dontavius is last time I saw him in person was a year ago. He was the first guy in this class to commit. He did so after the Mac Brown Showcase Camp in the middle of June last year. But he looks like he's really filled out a lot more since then. Yeah,
Dontavius, he's toned up. And, you know, when you talk about defensive backs for UNC, the Rude Boys, I think of Dontavius Nash. After seeing him this weekend, he's got that little attitude that you have to have as a safety. I know just deep down he was ready to knock somebody out, but, you know, you got to kind of let up. But there was a couple times where he was just zooming in there to make that big-time hit, but he had to hold back and just punch him, you know, tap him, and the play's dead.
What is one, after seeing him in person just a couple of days ago, what's one other thing about his skill set, his attributes that just jump out at you?
Confidence, leadership. All these kids that Mac are recruiting, high character, just, you know, I seen it down there with Javari. You know, they're all good kids. And Drake, when he was talking about the group, he was saying, you know, we got a good group of guys, just not ball players, just great guys. And I just see them bonding really good. And every one of them's got that goal of winning a national championship.
Good stuff, my friend. I know you were really excited down there and getting a chance to see something live and in person for the first time in more than 3 months. So glad you had that opportunity. Glad those kids had an opportunity to get out there and compete. I know one of the main reasons they went there just to get those competitive juices going. So that was pretty awesome to see. She's Deana King. I'm Andrew Jones. You've been watching another UNC football recruiting podcast right here on TarHeelIllustrated.com and Tar Heel Illustrated if you're watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to hit to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get all of our updates on everything we do here on THI. Thanks for stopping by.